Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, the President today is heading to Philadelphia to talk about energy. Well, the President talks a good game, but unlike energy, talk is cheap. Well, the President plans to host a town hall meeting about his new energy policy, and I think it's time that the rhetoric face the reality of what the country is seeing, experiencing, and dealing with. And if the President truly wants to get a handle on energy costs, he needs to start by immediately stopping his Environmental Protection Agency from attempting to enact a backdoor cap-and-trade regulation. That's exactly what the EPA is doing. The only effect that can have is to increase energy costs on American families. And the President himself admitted as much in 2008. At that time, he said in an interview with a San Francisco newspaper, he said, under my plan of cap and trade, he said electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket. Well, is the President really serious about decreasing U.S. dependency on foreign oil? Well, if so, he would then rescind his veto threat against today's congressional legislation regarding the policies of the EPA. That's why I'm here in support of the McConnell Amendment. The McConnell Amendment keeps energy prices low. It prevents the EPA from blocking the development of domestic energy. It restores the Clean Air Act to its original congressional intent. I support the McConnell Common Sense Amendment. Now, most likely, today we'll just hear more of the same from the President in his speech and town hall meeting in Philadelphia. And more of the same is the last thing that the American people need right now. American families are facing increasing gas prices. Our national security is being jeopardized by dependence on foreign sources of energy. Unrest in the Middle East and North Africa is driving high prices even higher. Now, the Department of Energy, they've made an estimate that families all across this country will spend $700 more on gasoline this year than they did last year. Meanwhile, the President will most likely deliver another speech with great goals but limited action. With gasoline at over $3.50 a gallon, the President fails to appreciate the effect that this has on the effect specifically that his administration policies have on families with bills, with kids, and with mortgages to pay. In 2008, President Obama, then a candidate for president, said that the problem wasn't that gas prices were too high, but that they had risen too fast. In his words, he said he would have preferred a more gradual adjustment. Well, this may explain why the President spent his first 2 years in the White House undermining and abandoning an all-of-the-above approach to energy. It's no wonder that he's now trying to cast blame on those who are offering a responsible alternative. The President says he wants to cut our imports of foreign oil by a third by the year 2025. Well, to me, he doesn't appear to have the right vision or the political will to get there. The United States has the most combined energy resources on Earth. But when faced with new sources of U.S. energy, the administration's automatic response has been to regulate, to delay, or to shut down. The President's say one, do another policy is making the pain at the pump even worse. His approach is long on making promises, short on taking responsibility. He talks of his concern for the people affected by the Gulf oil spill, yet his drilling shutdown of the Gulf of Mexico killed their jobs and strangles energy production even today. U.S. offshore oil production is expected to drop 15% this year, thanks to the policies of this administration. The President's claim that blaming his administration for, quote, shutting down oil production, he says it doesn't track with reality. But I will tell you the administration's stalling on Gulf oil and gas drilling permits is so anti-business that even former President Bill Clinton called it ridiculous. So even as the President says he wants to cut oil imports, he told an audience in Brazil just a week or two ago that he wants the United States to become one of Brazil's best customers for oil. He said he would expedite new drilling permits. He claims that oil companies are, quote, sitting on supplies of American energy just waiting to be tapped, close quote. But the biggest thing standing in the way of is the red tape from his own Interior Department and his own Environmental Protection Agency. While use it or lose it, and that's the president's soundbite, while the use it or lose it soundbite sounds nice, it ignores the reality that the Obama administration's own policies are the most significant roadblock we have to exploring for American energy. The president also claims to support alternative fuels, yet he didn't once mention converting coal into fuel or tapping oil shale. Oil shale production could produce an estimated 800 billion barrels of recoverable oil. That's 3 times the amount of Saudi Arabia's oil reserves. The way we can address our economic and our national security needs is by producing more American energy. We can't afford to pick and choose our energy in a time of uncertainty. We do need it all. This means allowing more U.S. exploration and lifting the burdensome regulations that make it harder for Americans to produce more energy. Renewable energy is part of it. Renewable energy is important. But there is no way that green energy and green jobs can replace the red, white, and blue energy and jobs that have continued to power our country for over a century. Until the administration acknowledges this, the administration policies will continue to make the pain at the pump even worse. And that's why I urge the members of the body, urge my colleagues to adopt the McConnell Amendment. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.